Welcome back. And our last speaker for today and for this conference, it's Mike Bodie. Please welcome.
Thank you very much. I appreciate everybody who is still here, especially the people who might just be using the power sockets at the desk. I appreciate that as well. My name is Mike Bodie, and I'm going to be talking about working with voice actors. That's me. I just said that. I trained at the London Academy of Music and Dramatic Art in London, which is where I trained as a classical stage and screen actor before moving into voiceover pretty much full time. I work in film and motion capture and theater as well. These are some of the games that I've worked on. I could rattle them off with words, but pictures speak 1,000 words more than I could. Yeah, so that's some of the stuff. I've worked on about 90 titles in the last 5 years, and then lots of other stuff that I obviously can't talk about because of NDAs. Thank you, Leonardo DiCaprio. I also work as a voice director, telling actors how to do their job, and also to bring characters to life and be effective in the game itself. I also work as a proofreader and a script editor for games as well. So why is it that we have voice actors in games to begin with? Well, sound is in essence the first sense. When you are a baby in the womb, you can touch stuff with your hands, but you have no context because you can't see because your eyes don't work, and you can't smell anything around you because your nose doesn't work, and you can't taste anything because you're not using your mouth to eat. But sound is one of the first senses that a human child in the womb will experience. Having vocal audio in a game increases the perceived production value of it because voiceover is often somewhat expensive to implement, but it can make the game seem like it's more than it is because of the vocal audio itself. Voiceover in a game also acts as a passive medium for communicating story to the player, as opposed to forcing the player to have to read a piece of text and spend their time looking at words like you would in school, which reminds people of academics and being in boring school. You can play the game and engage with what's around you in the game while receiving the information from the voiceover, and being able to have that information and story delivered passively to the player. So you can be busy doing something else, and then somebody is talking to you, and you can receive that information. And it's crazy, but it's true. But there are people who pretend to be other people. It's a sort of a mythical creature called an actor. They're very dangerous people. A character in a game is a split between the audio and the visual elements. You can have all of the beautiful textures, the beautiful animation, the beautiful environment, and foliage and fauna, but all of that can be undermined if the audio that represents that character is not up to scratch or doesn't represent the audio equivalent of the visuals that you're seeing. So, for example, we all know who this is. From the visuals alone, we can tell a lot about the character. He's got 2 swords on his back. His hands are covered in blood. He's got a giant meat hook and a crossbow, and he's got this scowl on his face and a scar across his eye and all of this armor. So our eyes tell us what we expect him to sound like when he finally speaks. And if that doesn't live up to expectations, it gets a little bit awkward. If he sounds like Peter Griffin from Family Guy, but he looks like this, it's a little bit immersion breaking. You're not going to have, oh, Lois, I need to go find some monsters and play some Gwent. Like, it's not the same thing. And then all of this beautiful artwork gets undercut by the audio not representing what the eyes see. So getting voiceover into your game there's basically 2 ways of doing it. You either outsource it to a vendor or you do it yourself. And there are benefits to doing it one or the other. So with outsourcing your voiceover to a vendor, the vendor will provide they will look and search out for the voice actors for the game. They will run the casting sessions to find them. They might go through several hundred actors and ask them several hundred actors to send in auditions, which they will then whittle down to maybe 50, 25 of their selections to send to the client to then go, right, these are the 25 or 20 or 15 best of the 500 that we've looked through. Let us know what you think. They'll also do general admin, contacting the agents, organizing all of that. They'll probably supply the recording facilities themselves, and they'll organize all of the dialogue recording and all of the scheduling, so on and so forth, and send it for your approval. The alternative is that you do it yourself. You find the voiceovers, you supply the casting materials for the actors to do the auditions for, and then those actors might go book a studio on their end, or generally they might provide the studio themselves from which they will record from. and then they will send those actors will send the audio to your audio team to then handle and manage for post production, etc. This is a handful of English language uh, voiceover recording vendors that are in the UK. I'll hold that a second in case anybody wants to take a picture. Okay, cool. You can always ask me afterwards. So, how do you find voice actors if you're going to do it yourself? So, the first one is recommendations. If you're in game dev, you probably have other friends who are also in game dev. And if you're lucky, those other friends might have put out a game that has voiceover in it. Maybe you go, hey, I like that game you made. Hey, I like that voice actor in that game you made. What's their name? Well, their name is Mike Bodie, and he's very handsome, and you should definitely hire him. And they go, great, give me his contact details, and we'll get in contact. Another way is through voice agents. Now, each country's performance and acting industry will have different ways of managing the actors in the country. So, for example, in the UK, I have a handful of agents for different kinds of mediums. So, I have an agent for voiceover, for motion capture, and then for stage and screen. Whereas, say, in the US, you might have an agent who has technically more legal power than your manager does. And then if you go to other places like Germany, again, you'll have setups where agents will represent actors and they'll be in contact with casting directors for various projects to then audition actors, so on and so forth. So voice agents are a great place to look. You can also contact your favorite voiceovers. If you happen to play a game and you really like somebody's performance, you can find them on Twitter or on social media and say, hey, I liked your performance in that game. Do you want to do some more work? And as most voice actors are, they'll probably say, yes, I like feeding myself by doing work and getting paid. Also, conferences and expos. It's not uncommon to find voice actors attending various expos and conferences, and they themselves will be looking for work, such as myself. That's why I'm here. And Twitter. Now, Twitter is very much like this GIF. If you put out onto Twitter, hey, I have a game that I want to cast and I need some voice actors for, I guarantee it, you will be inundated like piranhas to flesh, with people saying, hey, I'd love to audition for your game, but it's not uncommon to get hundreds and sometimes thousands of people submitting, of which you will then have to go through all of those to find the gold within the rubble. Well, it's just acting, right? Voiceovers and stage acting and film acting, it's all the same. It's like, yeah, sort of. The kind of creative impulse to perform is generally the same, but every medium is different. It would be if you were to have, to say, an actor who's primarily worked on in film to suddenly be on stage 8 nights a week, they might not have the vocal stamina to be able to speak to a crowded audience without a microphone for 2-3 hours, 8 times a week. Whereas with a stage actor, they might, for example, be a bit too vocally projecting for cinema. They might not want to do cinematic voice. They might want to project when they speak, which doesn't really work. And the same thing with a voiceover. They might not be great at film and TV because they're used to working from kind of the neck up, not head to toe. It's a bit like going, well, my dentist and my heart surgeon, they're both doctors, so, they can do the same thing. It's like, yeah, but your dentist is your dentist and he is a doctor, but he's a different kind of doctor. He's not going to do your heart surgery, if you will. So, for example, if I'm working on a piece of film, the amount of time I'll get with a script, I might get a current draft of the script. I might have it a month ahead of time before I actually start filming. The actual rehearsal time of the scene, I might have a day to rehearse it because it's a big action sequence. I might have a few minutes, or maybe it's a huge sequence and we need weeks and weeks and weeks of rehearsal. The time between how many times you take that take might be a few minutes. It might be a half an hour. It depends. Work days can range between 8 to 16 hours. And if they need information about characters or any part of the story, they can generally get as much as you want. With stage, you'll probably be rehearsing for 3 to 4 weeks. You'll probably get the script ahead of time. The script is generally set. It's not going to change. So the lines you memorize won't be new by the time you get on set. Time between takes, not really, because if you start the play ends when it ends, when you get to the last page of the script. And then obviously you're rehearsing, you're rehearsing 8-9 hours a day for 3-4 weeks. The show itself might be 2-3 hours, and you can get all the information you want. With motion capture, you might get the script on the day, or maybe a week before, or maybe not at all. It's not uncommon. You might have 10 minutes of rehearsal because you're on the clock and you have to get it done. But time between takes, because you don't have to reset the horses in Game of Thrones and clean up all the poop. You can just go again because it's motion capture. Work sessions can be 8-9 hours, and you can have as much information as your NDA will allow you. it's not uncommon to go and do a motion capture shoot and not be told what you're actually working on until the project comes out. That does happen. And with voiceover, these days I find that I tend to get the script the day before I go in, which is great. Sometimes I'll get it on the day. I won't see the script until I show up in the room and go, right, what words are we saying today? Rehearsal time might be a few minutes. The rehearsal time might actually be the first take that I do because I haven't seen the script yet. And now I have to say the words and I have to start acting immediately. Time between takes, I might give you a few seconds. I might actually have to do 3-4 takes of a line, give 3 or 4 different variations, and then the client will pick what they want. And work sessions range between an hour to 4 hours. And I will rarely ever get information ahead of time. I once worked on Ghost Recon Breakpoint. I wasn't told it was Ghost Recon Breakpoint until I got into the room and I said, "Is this Ghost Recon Breakpoint?" And they went, "Yes, how did you know?" It's like, because I played Ghost Recon Wildlands and I recognize I recognize the characters. Um, if you have to hire voiceovers for a game and you're not sure which voiceovers to hire, maybe they're coming from commercial background or e-learning or corporate, your best bet is to hire voice actors who have some game experience or who play games. If you need to explain a type of piece of dialogue to the voice actor and you say, well, this is an allied NPC response to a player-driven character. So the line is, "Yes, sir, on my way." And that's from the player going, "Okay, ally, go over there and hold that position in case bad guys come." And the NPC goes, "Yes, sir, on my way." The actor might go, "Well, what's my motivation to say that?" Says, there is no motivation. Just say the line, be direct, be forgettable, because if you say it, "Oh, yes, sir, on my way," that's not really going to be useful, particularly if you're hearing that thousands and thousands of times all the time. The best lines are the ones that affect you emotionally. The second best lines are the ones you can't remember. And the worst lines are the ones that you go, "Oh my God, they put that in the game?" It's good to check the voice actor's credits because it's very easy to go onto IMDb and say, "Oh, I worked on this great game and I played the lead and this is the developer." It's like, wow, you're saying all the right words that makes me think you've done something big, but the project you work on was kind of okay and your performance wasn't great and you were the only voice actor there and you only really had 5 lines. So you're kind of inflating your CV a little bit. Um, Straight up voiceovers, like I said, if you find somebody who does a lot of commercial work, that's great, but they might not have the experience or the acting ability to perform for a game and have knowledge of how a lot of the technical aspects and technical reasons that dialogue is in a game function. Great, you found your actors that you want to have in the game. Ask for auditions. You can have multiple rounds of auditions. Auditioning for an actor is like the sun shines, the grass grows, the rain falls, and actors audition. That's just the way of the world. I recently signed with an agent in Los Angeles last year, and I think I've had about 378 auditions in 12 months, which is more than I've ever had in my 15-year career as an actor in that short space of time. Auditions from actors are always free. Actors who go, "Oh, I don't want to audition," I would probably argue maybe you should question whether that actor is somebody you want involved. If they're super famous, it's like, I don't know, you're getting George Clooney and you have the money to pay for George Clooney. You probably don't need to ask him for an audition. You can probably go watch Ocean's 11 and see, hey, is George Clooney a good actor? Oh, yeah, he is. He's a great actor. Maybe I don't need an audition because he's George Clooney. But it's perfectly fine to ask actors for auditions. Auditions are always free. An actor should never charge for an audition because that's just the way of the world. If you have scripts in your game that have sensitive information about plot lines, characters, maybe you have a franchise that you're working on and you have information from that you don't want leaked, you can use scripts from other things, other films, even plays, wherein that scene or that dialogue is similar to the emotional content that you want from your script that you can't tell them about. So, for example, I auditioned for Venom 2 one time, and I was given a script from Ben Affleck's The Town because that particular scene was similar for the character that I was auditioning for in Venom 2. I didn't get the part, but I'm not bitter about it. Um, if you found an actor whose audition you like, but you're not sure about them and you want to make sure they are good to work with, particularly if you're going to be working with them for a long period of time, you can have a phone call with them over Skype or Zoom just to get to know them. It's great if you found a wonderful actor and they give a great performance, but if they're a jerk, well, you made your bed line. It's always good to check. In my experience, every time I have done an audition remotely, and the client has asked for the camera to be on while I'm performing, I've never gotten the job. Conversely, every time I've had to do a remote audition where I start with the camera on and then I turn it off and then go, oh, I just want to have some bandwidth so you can hear me clearly. So, oh yeah, great idea. Um, I've gotten those jobs. People don't always look like what they sound like. And if, for example, as soon as I shave, I look like a baby. And if you want me to play horrible, nasty murderer number 3, and you see my my redheaded baby face going, all right, I'm gonna cut your head off and make a stew with it. Like my face doesn't exactly sell that, but my voice can. So that's why I always turn the camera off. If you're doing a motion capture audition, for example, or a performance capture, and you need to physically see the actor moving in the space, then yeah, of course, you need to have the camera on. If you have some sort of content in the script that you're recording that might be sensitive or of a certain nature, whether it's religion, politics, nationalism, sexuality, extreme violence, whatever it is, just let the actor know ahead of time, because they might go, actually, I'm not okay saying those words or portraying that emotionally. Just check with it. Most actors are going to be fine with it, but it's always courtesy to check. If you need an actor from a specific background, you can find them. I was once asked to perform a character who was from, I believe, Ghana. Unfortunately, I am not Ghanaian. I don't speak Ghanaian, and if I do a quick skin check, I am very white. So it wasn't appropriate for me to do that job. So I said, hey, I can't do this because of obvious reasons. Let me recommend some other people to you. MinaArts.uk and PGMVOlist.com are great places to find actors from various backgrounds all over the world who generally speak English. If you have a character in your game, and you've hired a great actor who give a great performance, but you're not sure if the accent that they're putting on for their performance is accurate, take that recording, find somebody who is native in that accent, and have them listen to it to go, is this accent native, or does it sound authentic? Are they making mistakes at all? Because the voice actor might not know that they're making mistakes. They might think that they're doing a great job with the accent, and maybe they are. But if you're not sure, it's good to check. The last thing you want to have is record a great performance, but then the accent has a lot of errors in it, and then it's immersion breaking from the player because they go, hang on a second, there's lots of accent mistakes in here, and now the voice sounds weird. They're supposed to be British, but they kind of sound like Dick Van Dyke and a little bit American, for example. English is a silly language. Within English, the accent will denote the nationality first. And then within those accents, it breaks down into your levels of income, your education, and a lot of the stereotypes that come with it. So for example, Game of Thrones, all of the characters who are in the North, they have Northern English accents. And everybody who is in the South has London or RP or Cockney style accents, just because that's the decision they made. Like I said, within English, the accent will denote the nationality, and then class and culture and all those other factors, so on and so forth. Mixing and matching accents, unless you've got a really good reason for it, is generally a no-no. I once worked on a game where I had to play a character, a historical character who was from Poland. I was doing my best Polish accent, and then suddenly a character shows up who says, "My lord, the enemy is at the gate. We must defend it." It's like, great, why is this used car salesman from the 1940s suddenly in 12th century Poland? This doesn't make any sense. Great, you've hired your actors, you found the ones you want, you are doing it yourself as opposed to going to a vendor. Check the equipment that they have them do some shouting, some normal room level speaking, some whispering, have them do some claps and some deaths and so on and so forth, just to hear what the space sounds like that they're recording in. You can have a Neumann U87, which is a €2,500 microphone, and if you record it in your kitchen, no matter how good that microphone is, it's going to sound bad. Whereas you could have a not as good microphone recording in a well-treated acoustic space, which will sound better. So it's always good to check the recording space that the actor is working in prior to signing the contracts and sending the money, so that you know you're getting something of high quality that you're happy with. Not all setups are the same. The irony is that these are both mine. This one over here was what I started with about 5 years ago, and then this is what I have currently. This is in a closet, and I threw a duvet over my head, but I never told the client, says, yeah, I'm working in my closet. I would say, yes, my recording space where I record. They went, ah, good. Send us a demo. Of course, I'll send you a demo. And I sent it, and it just so happened the sound quality was really good, but it was incredibly uncomfortable and very sweaty. And I was always recording in the dark because the light was in my face and I would sweat and stuff. And then eventually I upgraded to a full studio. And yeah, so that's why I write professional. The law of audio is that you get what you pay for, unfortunately. So English language has a very high economic value. So there's generally a higher input to get what you can get from it as far as the access goes to people who might want to buy the game once you release it. Within VoiceOver, VoiceOver is structured between the session fee and then essentially the commercial rights. If you are publishing a game, you need to secure commercial rights from the voice actor, and then the voice actor who is providing the studio or maybe just going to a studio and performing, that's part of the labor section. There are different fee structures depending on where you're working from. There's generally within English language a standardized fee setup. If you're working under a UK equity contract or you're working with a SAG-AFTRA contract or a US non-union contract, it's all going to vary, and that will come down to your budget as far as what pay structure you work with. Some vendors will have their own pay structures that might be a little bit different than some of the quote unquote union contracts or non-union contracts. If your cast is remote, they might want to work in different currencies. They might want to work at different rates. You'll have to negotiate that with them individually. Although a unified company rate is always best because it's easier to manage budget-wise. The buyout allows you to use the voiceover that you've recorded. It's essentially a buyout is another word for commercial rights. It allows you to use the voiceover you've recorded to make a profit off of the game that you sell. So if I record record voiceover for you, you stick it in the game, you put the game up on Steam, you make lots of money because my contributions to the game have likely caused those sales to happen and profit to occur, hopefully. Yes, I know there's various factors why a game might not sell on Steam, etc. The actor is entitled via copyright law to a commercial rights payment up front. There is talk of trying to do royalties for games for voice actors, but that's in my mind, that's probably not going to happen anytime soon. So right now, the commercial buyout structure is the most straightforward structure that there is. It's like if a musician has a song on the radio, they get, I don't know, 50 euro cents or whatever they get every time it's played ad infinitum because that's the music contract that was signed when they made the song. The top 20 countries in the world with disposable income speak English as a first or a secondary language. Games are classed as a luxury product, therefore, disposable income will be spent towards a luxury product. As an actor, I'm technically unemployed about 90% of the year. I might work on a big commercial for a couple hours from my studio, which pays me half my year's salary, and sometimes that happens every couple of years. It happened this year, and I'm very grateful for that. But if I wake up in the morning, generally I'm unemployed trying to find work. It's the freelance life. If you're freelance, you understand what I'm talking about. But I am the one paying for my training, my personal upkeep, all of my gear, my equipment, my licenses for software, all of that. There's a lot of admin and a lot of that kind of stuff that I have to take care of on myself. I can't get it from a company because it's all on me. Just because it's affordable doesn't mean it's good. If you've spent thousands on your character model, your texturing, your animation, your in-game art and everything, and then you stick a voice on it, which doesn't really do much for the character or is a bad performance, all of that visual stuff that you've put in is now completely undermined. So just because you got something that was affordable, that fit into your budget, doesn't mean it's always good. And that can be a risk if you're trying to, if you're putting voiceover in and you're not quite sure what's good or what's not. That's why it's useful to have a voice director to help get the performance out of the actor that you want. And a bad quality voiceover performance can push away new players if they're not new to the franchise or if they know much about it, such that they might go, hey, what's this really cool looking game? Oh, wait, the voiceover is really bad and irritating and really immersion breaking. I'm not as interested in the game as I used to be because this audio is really irritating. Yeah. So you've hired the actors, you've given them the scripts. If you don't tell the actors what's going on in the script or provide any context, they can't read your mind. You might think, right, okay, so we're going to record the scene where the father tells the son that he loves him, and it's the first time he's done it in 25 years. Okay, the actor will just know that. No, they won't. You need to tell. You might be thinking that, but you need to say it out loud so that the actor knows what's going on. Give them the information. The actors are essentially emotion processing machines. You give them the information about the situation, the given circumstances, and they will emotionally process that to then perform it. It's even a great idea to have the writer in the room as you're recording the voiceover, because the writer can give more context to the actor if, say, the audio designer or the sound designer doesn't know all of the information. If you can't say a lot about the game, have the actor sign an NDA, because then you can tell them as much as you want. And if they tell anybody, then you know whose fault it is. Or if you have references from other games or from other TV shows that you go, great, this character here is a bit like this character from this film. Oh, let me send you the link real quick. Yeah, you see how he's got this kind of moodiness about him and how he's kind of dark when he says his lines. This is what we're looking for in this character in this scene. Okay, great, perfect. Have those things ready to tell the actor if you find that that might be helpful. If you don't know how to structure a voiceover script, on my website, there's a bunch of free stuff. This is what it might look like when it's all filled out. You've got your line numbers and your file ID, and then the gameplay event, and then any kind of descriptions and the characters and the text. And maybe you go, hang on, this text is weird. We're going to do an alternative version. So we'll record both of these, and then we'll pick later which one we want to do. That's what it looks like when it's blank. If you have, say, a character for a game, sorry that this is cut in two. I could, but you wouldn't be able to see it. So if you have a character description for a game, you might have their the race that they are, what their physical age is, and also what their vocal age is. They might be 10,000 years old, but they might vocally sound like a child because they're a small demon child who's 10,000 years old but sounds like a child. You might have certain voice references or voice qualities that you want the actor to emulate or give their version of as they perform. They might have a certain way of moving. Maybe they hold lots of tension in their upper body, and that's going to affect the airflow in the lungs and how the actor performs. They might physically tighten themselves so that when they perform, they can emulate that vocal quality that the character has. Then you obviously have background information. And then with each of the lines, you can have, for example, let's say in demo line 1, the scene is the character finds out that the dog just died. What's the emotion? Sadness. Now, obviously, sadness is very broad. But if you have the context of, oh, your pet that you've loved since a child is dead, that's going to inform how you perform that text then. So giving the scene descriptions in addition to maybe a type of emotion you want them to portray is useful as far as showing the actor what they need to portray for the script. And then you can have a whole different sets of emotions. So as opposed to going, right, first line, sadness. Second line, more sadness. And more sadness throughout. You might want to have them hit certain emotional points as those emotional points occur throughout the entire script for the entire game, and you want to see if they can emulate those emotions as you audition them. This is all free on my website at the top there. I think the links still work. Email me if it doesn't. You've made a wonderful MMORPG with wonderful words and descriptions, but only you know how to say them. It's a good idea to have a master list of all the recordings that you have a master recording of all of the words that you might have made up for your wonderful MMO fantasy RPG, because what you don't want to have is two actors saying the same word in two different ways, but both those characters are brothers and they're from the same town. So that wouldn't make any sense that one goes, well, just to spite my brother, I will say the name of our town differently. It's like, okay, that's an interesting character choice. Have that list ready and available, particularly if you get to a piece of text as you're recording the script where a word that you've made up for your franchise appears, because you might go, oh, sorry, hang on, this word is pronounced this way. Can you do this line again, how you did it, but say the word like this? Like, okay, great, yeah, I can do that. Strenuous text is unfortunately strenuous. The voice, like a muscle, will eventually wear out over a long period of time. If you've ever been to a party and you're speaking loudly because everybody's drunk and you're speaking loudly, at the end of the night, your voice hurts. It's like a muscle. It will eventually strain itself. If you have to do lots of screaming, dying, grenade, all of that, do that at the end of the session, because by that point, you can go all out, be tough on the voice, and then you're done recording so the actor can go away and recover from all of the strenuous talking. If you do all of your screaming and dying up front, and then you have to do your emotional monologue, the emotional monologue might be coming through a voice that sounds damaged, which is not really useful, because if you damage the voice and then you record the voice as it's speaking while it's damaged, that will get recorded in the audio and you can't post-process that out. Alrighty, you're all done recording for your game. Once you have finished recording for your game with your actors, and hopefully it's been a wonderful and joyous experience, keep in contact with them. If you liked what they did, follow them on Twitter or Instagram or Facebook or all of their social media. When the actor is able to publicly talk about their involvement with the game, let them know, because their followers will now see that their favorite actor is now involved in a game that they might not have been aware of, but now they're aware of it because the person, this voice actor that they follow, is, oh, they're in this brand new game. I better go check out this game, and maybe I should wish list it, and maybe I should download it. If send the actor some merch, send them a T-shirt or a pen or a pin or I don't know, a sticker or something, or even a Steam code if you have it, because it's great for actors to be able to who have Steam accounts, GOG accounts, Epic accounts, etc., to be able to download the game, to be able to play it, to then be able to capture their scenes that they did in the game and then post them on the internet and go, hey guys, I play this amazing character in this amazing game. Come see me do amazing acting in this amazing scene. And then suddenly your game gets traction on social media because people get to see the game itself and their favorite actor performing, blah, 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 blah. It's all lots of digital real estate. Give the actors credit for their work. Make sure you spell the names correctly. My legal name is Michael Bodie, but I go by Mike Bodie because it's like a microphone, and my name is Mike, and it fits, and also because it's easier to spell. Give the actors credit. The same thing with mocap performers as well. Spell the names correctly. Invite them to talk about your work. Do a Zoom call and say, hey, let's talk about your character in the game. We're going to record this and then put it on our Discord or put it on Twitch or whatever. Nominate them for awards. It's great PR for you and for them because then they can say, hey, our game was nominated for this award because we had an actor who performed in it. And the actor can go, hey, I was nominated for this award because I was in this game. Make an IMDb page for your game as well. It's free to make. Go to imdb.com. Here is a list of award schemes that include performance/voice acting. If you want a shorthand, you can always go to Wikipedia and Google list of game awards. But these are good ones to submit them to if you would like, particularly if they've done a good job. If they've done a terrible job, don't submit them. It just inflates their ego. Horrible. So the takeaways: budget for the voiceover ahead of time. Make sure that you have the money for it, because having the money to get the voice acting that you want, particularly because some voice actors will not work for certain rates. But if some, that's probably because they're very good, they're very experienced, they're very busy, and they will only work for a certain amount. Generally, those voice actors are probably really good at their job if they are committing to those rates up front. Be copyright compliant with VO usage, secure the commercial rights so you don't run into any trouble. Cast who you want, not who's convenient. If you happen to find a voice actor somewhere, oh, great, you're a voice actor. Okay, great, we'll need that at some point. And if you then record them or do placeholder or whatever, and you go, actually, we're going to change the character, and what you're doing doesn't work, and actually, you're not as good as we thought you were. You were great to talk to at the conference, and man, you're funny at that party, but you're not as good as we thought you were. Okay. It's worth taking the time to find the actor that you want, because, like I said, you don't want to undermine your years of work with a bad performance just because you conveniently happen to find a voice actor. There's no such thing as too much communication. Let the actor what's going on. I was once working on a game where I played the lead for 3 years. I had cinematics and I had big cutscenes and lots of tech demo stuff, and my voice was in it. And I found out by Jeff Keighley at Gamescom 2020 that I was no longer in the game when they did, hey, here's a 15-minute trailer of this game. Like, oh, right at the end. Thanks, Jeff Keighley. Wait, that's not me. And that's when I found out I was cut from the game because they changed the story, they changed everything, and I wasn't told. I was not bitter, I promise. NDAs, NDAs, NDAs. Get your actor to sign an NDA up front. Therefore, you can communicate with them all the information they need to know so they can give a better performance. And be patient with your team and the actors you hire. You've been working with your friends in your game dev studio for years. You've known them. You've gone out for drinks with them. Maybe they even named your child after you. But you might have the actor in for an hour or so, and it's like, okay, you've never worked with us. We've got you in for an hour. We haven't worked together before. Maybe there's even a language barrier. Let's just go ahead and do the thing. Just be patient. And that's all I got to talk about. My name is Mike Bodie, and I do talking and voice acting for a living. Thank you.
Thanks, Mike. Some questions?
Q&A. Yes? Yeah. In the UK, it ranges between 175 pounds and 500 pounds, depending on the budget. So, for example, on the big AAA projects, depending on what studio you go with, the buyout will be higher on it because there's the budgetary ability to do so. On smaller games, there might not be that. And so that range of 175 to 500 pounds GBP sterling is a safe range that actors generally are happy to work with depending on the budget of the overall game itself. Yeah. Yeah, so if I do an hour of recording on the game or I do 18 hours, the buyout will be the same. So it could be 175 pounds for 18 hours of recording, or it could be 500 and I've only done an hour of recording. It depends, again, depends on budget, depends on if you want to hire an actor to do one character, or maybe you go, hey, we're going to hire you to do 4 or 5 characters. So you'll come in for 1 hour here, you'll come in for another hour there. But the buyout and commercial rights is only paid one time. It's not per session, it's just paid once. And then the fees afterwards just have to do with the session and the labor. But commercial rights is paid one time only. You're welcome.
And I have a question to Mike.
Go for it.
Maybe you can recommend to us some exercises to voice, which we can add to morning routine.
Humming, having conversations, having wordless conversations with yourself. Sirening, doing what's called a spine roll, which is where you go down. You're standing with your feet straight and you stretch out, and then your head goes down, and you let everything relax, and then you move your way back up. That helps with releasing tension and stretching and so on and so forth. What else? Tongue twisters, lip trills, grabbing the inside of your mouth and your face and moving it around, massaging your jaw. If you ever placed your thumb underneath your cheekbone and pressed while your jaw is released, it's going to hurt. We hold a lot of tension in our jaw. There's a whole school of thought about that. I'll give you the basics.
Thanks a lot.
You're welcome. Yeah. It depends on the voice actor. So if you have somebody who is very versatile, maybe they can do lots of accents, maybe they can do lots of characterizations. If your game is set in, let's say, a very modern reality, it might be a little bit weird if suddenly they're starting to do a cartoon voice in a medieval setting. That might be a little bit strange, but maybe they can raise the pitch of their voice. Maybe they can lower the pitch of their voice, make themselves sound older, sound younger, put on a different accent, put on a different vocal quality to extend the range of how many characters they can do. If you get into like American union contracts, they specify how many characters you're allowed to do. Outside of that very particular type of contract, you can do as many characters as you want. Granted, if you have one actor do lots of characters, you run the risk of the player going, wait a minute, wasn't that the guard I just killed a second ago? I was once asked to play like 7 characters in a game, and I told the dev, I said, look, they're gonna know it's me. Like I can change my accent, but the timbre of my voice will generally stay the same unless I start getting into something really exaggerated, like something like a cartoon or monster voice or creature things. But generally, if you're going in, say, like a grounded hyper reality, you're going to be limited in what you can do unless you go into the realm of cartoon and fantasy and that kind of stuff. You're welcome.
Oh,
Hello.
I want to ask if there is a difference between like for voice actor working in a AAA company and in this studio. If there's difference with like working with the main people who hired you.
Do you mean working with, let's say a AAA studio hired a vendor who then put me in the game?
Yes, yes.
If I'm working with a vendor, generally the vendors they'll operate the same way. They're all professional companies. They'll have their own recording studio. Generally, their workflow and their processes are always the same. If I'm working directly with, say, an indie studio, I will be generally communicating with the sound designer, maybe one of the producers, maybe one of the writers, and so then the relationship becomes interpersonal as opposed to there being a hierarchical structure with a vendor, for example. So let's say, excuse me, if I went to a vendor in the UK, chances are I would have auditioned for that job, taken that file, sent it to my agent. The agent sends it to the vendor. The vendor then sends it to the client. The client makes their decisions to the vendor. The vendor contacts my agent. My agent contacts me and asks for my availability. I tell them when I'm available to my agent. It goes back to the vendor. Then we organize all the session and I show up. And I show up and I go, hi, I'm here for an 11 a.m. session for recording. All right, sit over here, please. Okay, great, thanks. And then somebody goes, hi, Mike, 11 o'clock, let's go. Okay, go into a recording. So there's all of that to deal with versus like, hey, Pavel, how you doing? Yeah, we're gonna record? Record. Okay, great. You let me set up the session. Okay, good. We're good. You good? Can you hear me? Okay, good. Let's go. And recording, which is a lot more interpersonal, and maybe I'll do it remotely. So in that respect, there's a lot more kind of hierarchy and structure and corporate stuff to deal with.
Thank you a lot. It was Mike, buddy.
Thank you.